Okay, welcome back to the Here's the Deal channel. Thank you for joining. This is going to be a very, very important show because we're talking about freedom versus tyranny. If you don't have freedom, you don't have anything. On the screen right here is a video that I just saw today by Nana Business or Nunya Business. And, you know, you talk about, or at least cops talk about, how they're out there serving and protecting when we know they're harassing and collecting, and that they offer a public service to the people. Do you want to see a true public service that's being offered to the public on video? Watch this.
Hi.
What are you doing, ma'am?
Can we help you?
Can we help you?
I want to tell this fella here, plead the fifth, don't say a word, and call a lawyer, okay? And make sure they have their body cams on. I don't see any body cameras. Is it on?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Name and badge number?
Deputy Jordan Seleznicar, badge number 546.
Name and badge number?
Deputy Wilson, 566. You want all of them, ma'am?
Yeah.
Sergeant Madison, 529. Deputy Moss, 552. Deputy Warner, 523.
Have you informed him of his rights
We don't need to, ma'am.
to stay silent?
We don't need to. So you only read someone their rights when you question them for anything incriminating.
Don't get too close to me.
All right, that's fine. Just don't stand in the roadway because it's a hazard to safety. All right?
You're a hazard to safety.
That is a true public servant right there.
Don't say-
This lady who's holding this camera is offering a real, relevant public servant service to the people by holding her servants accountable, her so-called public servants accountable, and warning a person who's been swarmed by public servants, hey, you got rights, don't forget, activate them, stand on them, and invoke them. So today we're going to talk about Officer Frank Sloop from the Pinal County Sheriff's Department. And I just want to say, we live in a time where tyrants are applauded and accepted while freedom fighters are defamed and rejected. And that's what Frank Sloop does, or Frank Slope, however you say his last name, does in this video. He doubles down on tyranny as he comments. He lends commentary to his own most popular video on Fridays with Frank. We're gonna toggle back and forth between lackluster's exposure of Frank and what he said about him and the information we can find out about him and what Frank says about himself. And before we even do that, I just want to springboard off of and build a foundation for this live stream. We have something that every law enforcement official, every president, every governor, every judge will give lip service to. We have a supreme law of the land. Part of that supreme law of the land is called the Bill of Rights. Within the Bill of Rights is something called a Fourth Amendment. And the Fourth Amendment is something you have that is inherent. It's unalienable. Nobody gave it to you and nobody can take it away from you. They can't take it away. They can't codify it away from you. They can't take it away from you through regulations and rules and laws and policies. It's something that you have in real time, in reality. The problem is we live in a world where everybody's giving credence to fiction, to fables, to fairy tales. The fairy tale of, hey, yeah, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, but we have the right to make you insecure in your person's houses, papers, and effects because of traffic law, or because this cop says you don't have the security of your identity. Now, which one is it? Do we have a supreme law of the land? Do we have something that always is and always will be the top dog as far as legality, as opposed to illegality? Do we have the top dog in morality as opposed to immorality, called the Fourth Amendment? Do you have the right to be secure in your person's houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures? And can that be taken away because we have black dress wearing tyrants who say, no, let's go ahead and do reasonable articulable suspicion, which comes from 1968 Terry v. Ohio. So that which basically the Bible of the land, the Fourth Amendment says, hey, you are guarded against, you're safeguarded against unreasonable searches. So let's come up with reasonable articulable suspicion instead of probable cause. It's not reasonable because you say it is, Supreme Court justices. It's not right because you say it is. If it's in violation of that which is our right to be secure in our persons, houses, papers, and effects, then it's not legal. It's not moral. It is absolutely not right. So with that said, because we have a supreme law of the land and nothing can violate it in reality, let's watch a state functionary operate on the plane of fiction, and then let's watch a whole lot of other people applaud it, because this view that Frank put out has 12,264 likes as opposed to 268 dislikes. I'm not as concerned about the Frank Sloops of the world or the Barack Obamas of the world or the Donald Trump rulers of this world or the Hitlers or the Stalins or the Mao Zedongs or the Mussolinis. I'm concerned about the people who forego their morality, step on and crush their moral compass and just get on board with the tyranny train. Let's take a look at this.
71, passing all these cars. So you'll notice, or maybe you won't because I didn't, but on this one, the Fridays with Frank graphic that comes up is on the side of the screen. If you look back to episode 32, Fridays with Frank is in the middle of the screen. So Sam told me that he specifically did that for this episode as to not block what was going on one side of the screen. So it just says Fridays with Frank, number 33 on the other side. I never would have noticed it. A little behind the scenes, that was specifically done by Sam on this one. Get a good look. That guy right there.
I'm actually not sure what he's talking about here. Let me open up a new tab and let's see what this thumbnail looks like. All right, so what is he talking about that's not being hidden here? I'm not sure.
See your driver's license, please.
Yes, sir. Can I ask what you pull over for?
Absolutely. As soon as I see your driver's license, I will be very happy to tell you.
That's not how it works. Can you tell, first of all, what's your name and your badge number?
I'm sorry. I do this for a living. You don't. I tell you how this works. Let me see your driver's license or I'm going to pull you out of your car and arrest you for failing to provide ID.
Look at him shaking his head, guys. He's shaking his head. He's basically, yep, that's right. I'm going to pull you out of the car. So he is doubling down on his tyranny. The threat of violence did not come from the person operating this vehicle. The threat of violence came from the road pirate who's trying to exert his authority. This should infuriate everybody. That you can scroll through this video right here and see post after post of people going, Franks, look, you're doing a great job. Thanks for coming into work each day. Thank you for committing your roadside piracy. 71 and a 45. So what? Was he harming somebody? Was he damaging property? Was he driving erratically and recklessly? And by the way, Frank, how fast did you have to drive to catch up to a guy who passed you doing 71 and a 45? Probably had to be upwards of 90 miles per hour. So you're going to give a ticket to somebody for something that you just got doing. Well, I wouldn't have had to drive that fast if this guy wasn't driving so fast. But the issue with the ticket, I thought, was public safety. If it's a problem and it's a violation of public safety for one person traveling at 71 miles per hour, now it's a double risk to public safety because now you got one guy doing 71 miles per hour and one doing 90 miles per hour. Now you've doubled the trouble, hypocritically so, on the public roadways so you could scrape together some revenue for the state. That people cannot see through the simplicity of what's going on here. No deception required. All they have is costumes and shiny badges and this supposed authority that you're supposed to believe in. But there's nothing substantially deceptive about any of this. They are literally road pirates trying to mess with people who are innocent, that didn't violate rights and are just, in pursuit of their happiness, according to the Declaration of Independence.
A driver who I've legally stopped for his driver's license or ID. That's what Arizona law says. If you fail to provide ID after being stopped for a legal reason, which 26 miles an hour over the speed limit is a legal reason, you are required by Arizona law.
But it's not a constitutional reason. So which one are you in the tank for? Are you in the tank for Constitution or for traffic law? Because it can't be both. Traffic law violates the Constitution. And the way they operate, traffic law trumps the Constitution. It stands above the Constitution. The supreme law of the land is traffic law in the minds of these road tyrants and these road pirates and the judges and the illegal injustice system.
To provide a driver's license if you have it, or any sort of ID if you don't have a driver's license.
Let me give you the translation of that. If you do not allow me to make you insecure within your person, then I will drag you out of the car against your will. I will use the brute force of the state. And if I can't drag you out, I'll call for backup, and we'll use the resources that we plundered you to get against you.
If you don't do one of those two things, you can, and in this case, he would have been taken into custody for that criminal offense.
It's not a criminal offense. No crime was committed because no victim was made. Frank, are you saying that you're being victimized here on the roadside as you aggressively aggravate and harass a person who just wants to be left alone that wasn't endangering lives?
So this is what this driver thought he knew, and what Arizona law says are not the same thing.
Let me also make something clear here. Brian, are you saying that if a cop pulls up to us that we shouldn't give our IDs and proof of insurance and registration? I am not saying any of that. I am not a lawyer. You're not going to get any kind of legal advice from me. I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm telling you what reality is. The reality is these cognitively dissonant individuals in uniforms are saying by their actions and their words that traffic law trumps the Constitution, and is that the Constitution is not the supreme law of the land in the land of the free, home of the brave. That's what they are saying. And that is wrong. In contrast to your rights. They're called rights for a reason as opposed to wrongs. If somebody makes you insecure in your person, houses, papers, and effects, that is a wrong because they violated your rights. And that's what Frank is doing. He's saying it's okay for me to violate your rights because the Arizona revised statute says I can. And so he's going to be an order follower. He's going to be the conformist, doing what he's told regardless of what is what? What is right. Instead of doing what is right, regardless of what he's told. His occupation is doing that which is wrong. And he is trying to convince the rest of us that what he's doing is right and what the driver of the vehicle did was wrong.
Legal request. I don't want to hear any other words out of your mouth except here's my driver's license.
Yes, Frank is on the Brady list, and we will get to that in a moment.
Please.
Oh, this guy. If you're watching this right now, you've probably already seen this episode. This is the most popular Fridays with Frank episode. It's the episode that we get the most hate about. Internet trolls love to email and blow up the sheriff's office inbox about
that's all they are. They're just trolls. We can handily dismiss them because we view them as trolls. We're in the right as we violate your rights, but they're not going to call it a violation of rights. They're going to call it a violation of traffic law, which is a violation of rights. I'll tell you this right now. If you look at Terry v. Ohio and you just read it in its most literal sense, and you look at the Fourth Amendment and you just read it in its most literal sense, you're not a stupid person. We aren't stupid people. You get the gist of what's going on, and you can fully understand that Terry v. Ohio and Pennsylvania versus Mims and all the other Supreme Court cases that come against the Second Amendment or the Fourth Amendment or the First Amendment is a violation of the Constitution as they claim that they're upholding the Constitution. It's all a convoluted, deceptive fairy tale mess.
This about how I'm violating people's rights and all of this stuff. So this is probably the most controversial of all the Fridays with Frank.
And you're a troll if you disagree. Period. No argument. I'm not gonna argue back because it's not worth it. You're a troll.
Can you say it again?
Absolutely. I need your driver's license so I know who you are. I am not asking you. I am telling you. Give me your driver's license.
My name is...
I don't want your name. I want a physical ID as required by Arizona law.
I am asking you when I'm getting pulled over.
I will tell you as soon as I see your driver's license.
I will gladly give you my license.
Notice how that changes once he starts videoing himself. This episode is really long. It's actually over 8 minutes. Sam specifically made this video longer because he didn't cut out any of the pauses that he normally edits out, like where I'm standing there and I'm waiting.
Johnny says Frank's husband must be so proud of him
for insurance. So all of that was added and kept into this episode, making it longer. But we wanted to show the totality of the contact so that there wasn't any part of me standing at the window of that car that was edited out. So it gives less for the trolls because we knew this was going to be controversial when we videoed it.
I get some identification of the reason why I'm getting pulled over. That's usually
All right. Well, I'm Deputy Sloop. I work for the Pinal County Sheriff's Office Traffic Unit. And the reason I stopped you is you're traveling 71 miles an hour in a posted 45-mile-per-hour zone. We also see registration and current proof insurance, please.
Can I do some more?
Unless it's going to magically appear in your hands, you would have to, right?
It's a little 45-mile-per-hour sign there. I like that.
All of your information still current? Still living on Mesa?
I don't answer any questions.
Okay.
And I had to get on my phone.
You're the one who decided it needed to be recording, so you could also use it to provide current proof insurance.
It's a great example of printing out. The reason why we need to print out our insurance cards. I get it. It's on your phone. It's super easy. It's convenient. But if you feel the overwhelming need to video a law enforcement officer while they're having contact with you at their window.
the overwhelming need. Actually, it is. It's an overwhelming need. It is a necessity. It is your insurance policy. It's your portable courtroom, your portable judge, your portable jury. Why? Because you can't trust the body cam footage that they're collecting. You can't trust that you'll ever get it through a FOIA request. And when you do get it, you can't trust that it won't be edited down to present them in the best possible light and take away all the pertinent evidence that shows them that they're guilty and shows the judge that they're guilty and the jury. So always record the police, you frickin' trolls.
And then you complain that you have to stop your video so that you can get your insurance off of your phone as required by Arizona law. The simple way for all you trolls out there, just print out your insurance card and put it in your glove box like we had to do before we had cell phones. Then you could take it out, you could hand it to the law enforcement officer, meeting the requirement for Arizona law, and you can continue to exercise whatever right that you think you're exercising by videoing someone who's probably already being videoed.
The right that you think you're exercising. He's so attempting to malign those who just want to hold public officials accountable for their blatant roadside piracy operations. Look at him.
No, there goes one of my partners.
He has so much disdain. So much disdain for the public.
You're required to provide it in a amount of time that would be...
Right, it's coming up right now.
Okay.
It's giving me 15 seconds.
So much harder than it has to be.
Says the road pirate. It's so much harder than it has to be. Who's the man interrupting another man who hasn't threatened to harm anyone or harmed anyone or stolen anybody's property? Who's the man who's aggravating on the roadside, harassing on the roadside? The harasser is saying, God, you're making it so much harder than it has to be. It'd be like real sea pirates from back in the 1400s or the 1300s coming alongside an ocean-going vessel and boarding, and the people aboard that vessel resisting the violence and brutality of those sea pirates, and the pirates finally, getting them subdued and go, man, you made this so much harder than it had to be. That's how I view these guys. These guys are the aggressors. It would be like a rapist saying to his rape victim, why don't you just pull him down and submit, will you? Hike the skirt up and submit. You're making this so much harder than it has to be. Yeah, well, resisting evil takes a little bit of effort, and the people who are committing the evil don't like any kind of resistance. That's the problem.
So while I'm sitting here and I am a public servant, is there any other questions I can answer for you, reference our contact? Okay. Just want to make sure.
So condescending.
It's more than 15 seconds.
They don't mind keeping you on the roadside for 30, 35 minutes, 45 minutes to get a drug dog.
All right, well, you keep working on that. There's no reason to be confrontational like that. There was no part of my contact with him was confrontational. Super simple and cordial, and he just...
No part of my confrontation with him that was confrontational. No part of my interaction with him was confrontational. What do you call, if you don't give me an ID, I'm going to drag you out of the car? That's not... If that's not confrontational, then we need to redefine the word, Frank.
just for some reason just can't seem to understand that there's a sequence of events that transpires here in Pinal County.
Yep, there is a sequence of events.
He doesn't like that.
And it's called tyranny. We're going to go over to Lackluster's video real quick because I want to bring out some facts about Frank Brady List Sloop that you really need to know. And by the way, if you're on the Brady list, it's also called a Giglio list. If you're on the Brady or Giglio list, then you're on a list that shows that you have no credibility within your own department. That list is created by the department that he works for, and he is on the Brady list for falsifying records. We're going to take a look at it right now.
Star and deputy of the Pinal County Sheriff's Office, propaganda show paid for by your tax dollars.
Yep.
And while chasing him down, he not only failed to wear his own seatbelt, but also told his civilian counterpart, the cameraman, also a Sheriff's Office employee, that he didn't have to wear his.
And I watched this lawyer right here making comments on Lackluster's video, and he acted like that was no big deal. He said, "Oh yeah, that's a jab. I respect the jab or the slight or whatever it was." It is a big deal when your profession is you issuing tickets and essentially economically terrorizing people who have committed no crime, no real crime. Because, from the purview of the Constitution, traffic law is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. From the purview of the Constitution. I'm not talking about the 1803 granting of judicial review by the Supreme Court justices who gave themselves the power to interpret what the Constitution says because all of us are stupid peons and we can't find out for ourselves. I am talking about, in reality, from the context of the Constitution, traffic law is anathema. It's a stench in the nostrils of the freedom fighters who actually framed and fashioned what this nation is today. Do you think for 1 second, if the founders who threw all that tea in the Boston Harbor, do you think for a second, if the Redcoats instituted some form of traffic law, that they would comply, lay down, roll over, and just be obedient serfs? I'll leave it to you and answer that question.
71 at 1,000 feet. Nice.
But it is a big deal for them not to put on their seatbelts, which is a traffic infraction, as they seek to economically terrorize somebody who they deem as breaking a traffic law and committing a traffic infraction. Listen to his engine. Listen to his engine.
Keep up there so you can take a
How
picture.
fast are you going, Frank?
This guy knows what's about to happen.
How fast were you going, Frank?
As they pull Nate over, deputy...
How fast were... Not only were you not wearing your seatbelts, but you were also speeding. You were violating your own traffic law that you're about to penalize this guy for. You hypocrite.
Slope tells his passenger that he doesn't need to fasten his seatbelt, and it appears that Deputy Slope doesn't have his fastened either, confirmed by the audible chime in the dashcam video.
I don't know why I put your seatbelt on. We're not going anywhere.
It's true.
Unless it turns into a pursuit, then we are.
All while ticketing others for non-crime, non-victim traffic infractions.
Yep.
To say that Sloop is a cowardly hypocrite hiding behind the badge is an understatement.
Well said. Well said. Now we're going to watch why we call Frank hypocrite Frank, or Brady List Frank.
Direct D and others working in the area with him would soon find out that Frank wasn't always working traffic with nearly 20 years of experience. He had actually been promoted to sergeant at a previous agency.
What happened in Maricopa County? Frank Slope? Why don't you say what happened in Maricopa County? Brady Lister? Can you even testify in court? Where's your sergeant stripe, Brady Lister?
But he wasn't a sergeant for long, as he was alleged to have been caught forging documents.
We're just trying to expose a Brady List cop that likes to adjust his overtime pay in Maricopa.
So I don't know what you're talking about on that. I'm on the Brady List
For what?
For changing the sign-off date on a report.
Fixing paperwork. I know exactly what you're on the Brady List.
Dude,
your friends, your old friends are snitching on you.
Dude, it's public knowledge. I don't care.
So even Frank admits that he is on the Brady List, which means he has no credibility even with his own department. So how can he have credibility? By the way, under the Brady List, prosecutors are supposed to inform defendants and the defendant's lawyers that the cop who's on the stand witnessing against them is on the Brady List. That's how serious it is. So you have to understand that when he takes the stand, anytime Frank takes the stand, you are looking at a person who has no credibility and should have no credibility in the eyes of the law. And that leaves everything open to question on what Frank is actually doing on his show. When he shows you the LiDAR or the radar or whatever, that there's a 71 on there, how do we know he didn't punch in that number? How do we know he didn't just make that machine beep? How do we know he didn't just manually enter that so that he could grab somebody? We don't know, because Frank Sloop is the operator of the LiDAR.
He not only
LiDAR, how appropriate.
left the agency that he was working at to pursue a career in Pinal County, but he was also placed on the Brady List.
There it is.
This list is made by prosecutors that show officers who shouldn't be trusted on the stand and are typically not called to testify due to their previous shortcomings. The driver in the video mentioned previously was determined to fight his citation, and we believe that expressing that sentiment in my publication is why his citation was never submitted to the courts.
Now, Frank's going to come up with why it wasn't submitted at the end of this video right here. Stay tuned. Pretty interesting. Can't believe one word this guy says. So when this guy's talking, you know he's lying because his mouth is moving.
That maybe he needs to move back to Mesa. As soon as he recorded me, and I asked him, hey, I need your driver's license, he's like, I'd be happy to give it to you.
Look at his face.
Before that, when he wasn't recording me, he absolutely wouldn't.
Frank loves to nod in agreement with himself.
So it's that's why you can't believe everything that you see online, is because there was that whole entire.
By the way, I will call out new channel members and I will call out all the super chats at the end of the show. I just didn't want to interrupt it. Thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to hit the like button and share this video with everybody you know. We got to expose tyrants like Frank, and we've got to correct the minds of the masses and set brush fires of freedom in the minds of those masses.
Contact that happened, and then he starts to record, and all of a sudden he's just the nicest guy, and I'm this big mean guy that's just demanding stuff. I would imagine he will interpret the fact that he's getting a ticket as a result of his terrible attitude, when really it's just the fact that he is just violating Arizona motor vehicle law.
And there you go. There you go. Arizona motor vehicle law trumps unalienable, constitutionally protected rights. And they don't care. And neither does anybody. Look, great job, Frank. Not just a sob sit, an entitled sob sit. For what? For just asking a question? He didn't do it with attitude. He's like, you can't really do that. We have a Fourth Amendment. Frank's like, I don't give a damn about the Fourth Amendment. You comply or I'm dragging you out of this car. Best part about this, the a-hole driver now made it easier for LE, law enforcement, to ensure that all citations reach the courts. You'll see what he's talking about in a second. Stay tuned at the end of Frank's video. Love how you speak directly to the trolls. You are the GOAT, Frank. I mean, how many comments are on this video right here? It's been out for 3 days, 1,787 comments, most of which are positive for tyranny and against freedom.
In case you're wondering what 71 miles an hour at 1,065 feet looks like on a laser, that's what it is.
You could actually see the back of the laser that shows the speed. Whether I have Sam there or not, I have the ability to take a picture of that and attach it directly to the citation. I take a picture of my radar when I lock a speed in on radar, and I do the same thing on...
How do we know that 71 was locked in on the guy that he pulled over? We don't know that. How do we know that 71 wasn't automatically put in? I don't know if you can auto generate number or manually generate numbers or not. Maybe not. I don't know. But how do we know that anything that Frank said here is true? He has a pattern of lying to such an extent that his department put him on the Brady list.
LiDAR.
And keeps him on the job. You're going to keep somebody on the job that you can't trust, who's proven themselves to be a liar? You can't trust him. You can't trust him to put him on the stand. You can't trust him to put him in a patrol cruiser. But the Pinal County Sheriff's Office wants Frank Sloop on there because he gives a good face to law enforcement.
Now, I can't print that out and give it to the person like this guy is eventually going to request. But what I can do is bring that up in court and show that as proof of the violation at time if this should go to trial.
And that was his speed. So after I locked him in on this, I watched him drive past me, never lost sight of him, pulled in right behind him. So I'm sure this is the type of guy that wants to find some sort of, I don't know, something to fight in this. All right.
Look at him agreeing with himself.
Contact phone number for you with an area code first, please. Sure, absolutely. Okay. Well, all the
supervisor.
No.
This guy asked for my manager. I'm going to get on the phone and have him race right there. My boss has better things to do than deal with this guy.
My boss has better things to do, like making sure other people are economically terrorized and making sure crime goes unabated in our city than to deal with this guy who's trying desperately to stand for his rights.
So I said no. Directly after the stop, I ended up going to lunch. It was my last stop of the morning. So I go to lunch and sat next to my boss, and I was like, hey, I just had a stop, and this guy asked for you for no reason to come out there. And my boss was like, yeah, I wasn't going to come out there. So I talked to my boss's boss, eventually my boss's boss's boss, all the way up to the number 1, number 2, and number 3 in the sheriff's office, all watched this video. And not one single person had an issue with it.
So nobody in your organized crime ring had a problem with you attempting to economically terrorize and harass a person who's trying to take his property from point A to point B and while trampling on his Fourth Amendment right to be secure. Gotcha. Understood. You're right. I'm sure you're probably speaking the truth on that. Nobody in your upper command, all the way up to the top of the law enforcement, policing for profit food chain, did not have a problem with it. We got it, Frank. We understand.
The county attorney's office for Pinal County watched this video and didn't have any issue with anything. So when you see other videos of how I am there just violating people's rights, no one in Pinal County or the Pinal County Attorney's Office or the Pinal County Sheriff's Office agrees with internet trolls that say that I violated anyone's rights.
Do you know what that means? That means injustice has become law in his department and in his county. And what did Sam Adams say, or one of the founders say? When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes what? Nobody had a problem. It's no measure of good mental health to be considered well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. When your society is profoundly sick, when the organization that you're a part of is profoundly criminal, and they don't see criminal acts as criminal acts the way they should, it's not good. It's not a good idea to lean on the opinion of the majority, especially when, Frank, you're locked into your own echo chamber. Of course, they're not going to see the criminality as you guys commit crimes.
This stop is perfectly within the confines as set forth by Arizona revised statutes, which is Arizona law. And yeah, they're in the valley of wrong.
But it's not within the confines of this right here. It's not in the confines of the Fourth Amendment. As a matter of fact, the Fourth Amendment and the Bill of Rights is designed to shackle the power of the government. It's designed to tell the government, hey, the people have rights. You don't have the right to do this. They got the right to be secure. You don't have the right to make them insecure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. Period. He doesn't care about your rights, nor does any law enforcement criminal.
No, you can contact one by phone.
But if I'm requesting a supervisor, you deny?
I can give you the contact phone number for the sheriff's office. Absolutely. It's area code 520.
Look at him. Look at him in the lower. Look at him in the lower corner. I'm going to back it up about 10 seconds. Watch. He's really enjoying this. He really enjoys watching himself suck the power out of people as he stands in the unrighteous power of the state. Watch his face.
Supervisor, you denying?
I can give you the contact phone
Watch
number
this.
for the sheriff's office. Absolutely. It's area code 520.
Oh, he loves it.
Yep.
He loves it.
Normally, just a couple questions for you. Do you normally threaten to put people out of the car just for them asking why they got
Look at him.
100% when they refuse to provide identification like you did.
Yep. If you don't give me your ID in violation of the Fourth Amendment, if you don't allow me to violate the Fourth Amendment, I damn sure will pull you physically out of your frickin' car. Yep. I will exercise brute force upon you. Now, if I wasn't in this uniform, I wouldn't dare do that. But because I'm a coward and I know I have unlimited resources, I can't lose on this. Even if you pull a gun on me, Frank Sloop, I cannot lose. Listen to this again.
Just a couple questions for you. Do you normally threaten to put people out of the car just for them asking why they got pulled over?
100% when they refuse to provide identification like you did.
But isn't that a secondary offense? Arizona's not a stop and ID state.
Here he says that Arizona's not a stop and ID state, and that is correct. I can't, if you're walking down the sidewalk, I can't just walk up to you and say, hey, citizen, I need your driver's license. If you haven't committed...
Now, can somebody... I don't know if this is a physical issue or a psychological issue, but I noticed that he has like a tick. He's and I see a lot of cops do this. A lot of cops are adjusting their shoulders and moving their necks. What is that tick? Is that something, is that like, is that an actual condition that people have? I'm not making fun of it. It's interesting when they do that, because a lot of cops, when they do that out there, it's because you've had your authority challenged and you don't like it. And there's this action of discomfort that the body involuntarily does. I see him do this a lot. I mean, an awful lot. And he's even doing it right now while he's in studio against a green screen as he's commenting on his own video.
Any crime, jaywalking or any sort of pedestrian hitchhiking, anything, you haven't violated any law. I can't just randomly walk up to you and ask you to ID yourself. He is absolutely correct. However, as soon as you get in a car and you are driving a vehicle and you commit a violation, you have to ID yourself. So people like...
Steve Black says it's his power breaker tripping.
Him like to take little snippets of the law and try to extrapolate it out into everything. And that's just not the way it works. Again, I'm on the mountain of right. He's in the valley of wrong.
Oh, a self-declaration. I'm in the valley of right as I trample his rights, and he is in the valley of wrong by standing on his rights. Let's go flip back over to, because I really want you to stay to the end where you see what Frank said resulted in this ticket. There was a fundamental change in the administrative practices of the police force as they issue these tickets here.
I really hope that this goes to court. I hope with every fiber of my being that I get to go and see him again, because there's not a judge anywhere in the state of Arizona that would entertain that tomfoolery that just happened there.
Tomfoolery.
So hopefully I'll get to see him again, and then we'll have another cordial conversation. So we'll see.
Nate did indeed appear in court to contest the citation. Deputy Sloop never entered the ticket, nor did he show up, and the citation was vacated.
Now, Frank is going to have a reason for that. That's why I want you to stay tuned to the end of Frank's video, because he's got this. I don't know if he made it up or if it's legit.
As for the seatbelt violations for the deputies and cameraman, there is no word that any have been filed with the courts either. Perhaps to save Frank Sloop the embarrassment of losing a case because his word can't be used as testimony? We're unsure.
All right, back to Frank's video here. Let me get out of the way so you can see Frank's reaction to Frank. Don't you love seeing, put a 1 in the room if you love seeing Frank's reaction, tyrannical Frank's reaction to tyrannical Frank, as both Franks are doubling down on tyranny. How wonderful is that?
Like, I asked you why I was being pulled over.
That's correct.
And you didn't want to tell me until I use it as a predecessor.
That's correct, because I need to know who I'm talking to first.
He's talking about how I have to tell him, and that it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment that I need to tell him why. That's not correct. It's not true. I'm on our SWAT team. We serve warrants all the time for all sorts of stuff. We serve warrants for dope. We serve warrants for ICAC, for all sorts of stuff, all sorts of bad criminal stuff. When we're pulling people out of someone's house with a valid arrest warrant, we're not telling them, we're showing them a warrant, saying, hey, come on out, here's the warrant. Those people are taken out. There's a bear cat in their front yard. They're taken into custody, and then detectives...
I think ICAC is Internet Crimes Against Children. Now, the dope thing... that would be in violation if they're serving warrants against dope. It's under the drug law, the drug war, which isn't a war on drugs. It's a war on people instituted by Nixon. And that means we're still living in Nixon's America, which is not a free America, which would be a violation of the Declaration of Independence, right to be free to, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's not advisable, but if your pursuit of happiness is you taking drugs, then these people can't violate that right. But they do because they believe they're doing the right thing, which is so ridiculous.
Provide all that stuff at a later time. Traffic stops are the same way. I'm not going to provide you anything on the traffic stop. You just need to ask for it later in the court. We don't hold court on the side of the road.
Hold on a second.
We don't hold court on the side of the road. Check this out right here. I just want to drop this meme right here. We're supposed to knock and announce. And then the door is Fourth Amendment privacy rights, but it's okay if you don't, says the Supreme Court. And that's what they view as the supreme law of the land. Frank and all of these people, and even people who are going, well, I appealed to this law and this Supreme Court case and that Supreme Court case. Oh, I guess we're supposed to get out because of Pennsylvania versus Mims, officer safety, trumps individual rights. And in this land, that's how they view it. They view it as if you don't get out, according to Pennsylvania versus Mims, if you don't let me pat you down for my safety, according to Terry v. Ohio, and these other frickin' laws and court cases, then you're committing a crime, and that gives us the excuse and the justification to fingerprint you and throw you into a rape cage.
Go ahead. Per civil rights and laws.
Okay.
And unless I am being arrested, or unless I'm being...
Well, failing to provide evidence of identity is a criminal offense.
It's a secondary offense.
Doesn't matter.
Just let me translate that. Listen to what he says again.
It's an offense. Provide evidence...
Unless I am being arrested, or unless I'm being...
Well, failing to provide evidence of identity is a criminal offense.
Failing to allow me to make you insecure in your person is a criminal effect. That's the real translation of this. It's kind of like we live on the set of They Live. We live on the set of They Live. Isn't that where Rodney Piper, he found those glasses, Roddy Piper, and when he put the glasses on, he could see exactly what was going on. When he lifted them up, took them off, he couldn't see. He just saw like everybody else sees. This is his view of the world is skewed, and because he's a psychopath, and there's a few other psychopaths who are in positions of power, and because there's so many other people who are submitting to their psychopathy, i.e. the order followers and the bootlickers and the leather munchers, that's where we get our problems. It's all this belief in fiction, this world that really doesn't exist, but is kind of parallel to ours and intrudes on ours because so many people buy into it. That's why this channel is important. That's why other channels that do these things are important, because what we're trying to do is lift the veil, and it's like, hey, this is really the world we live in, and this is the world they want us to live in. Which world do we want? Because we can create that world for ourselves. That's exactly what happened in the American Revolution. Am I calling for revolution? Are you going to snip at my words out of this? No, Brian Young is not calling for some kind of armed uprising. But I am telling you what the founding fathers said. I'm telling you what the founding fathers did. I'm telling you, and you know this, I'm telling you why America is what it is today, because a bunch of people got together and it's like, I'm sick of being pushed around. A minuscule tax on their tea and some other products, the Stamp Act and all that kind of stuff. That's what pushed them over the edge, let alone roadside piracy operations 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where they collect $6.1 billion a year just in speeding tickets alone, which amounts to $11,794 every single minute of every single day. If the founding fathers didn't accept a tax on tea and the stamp tax and all those what we would consider minuscule taxes, do you think that they would stand for 1 second in a realm that applauds traffic law? Well, it's for public safety. Well, what did Benjamin Franklin say? You give up essential liberty for politically promised public safety and security, you deserve neither safety nor security nor liberty.
It's a secondary offense.
Doesn't matter. It's an offense.
It doesn't. Officer Stroop, if you will let me speak and then I'll let you speak, is that all right?
No.
You don't want to let me speak?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not here for a back and forth. This isn't I talk and you talk. It is, absolutely.
Normally, per the civil rights.
The civil rights.
This has nothing to do with civil rights.
People have taken this video and put it all over the internet. All sorts of internet trolls on whatever platform that you watch your troll videos.
If it's not my video, and if it's offering a critique of my video, says Frank, then it's a troll video and it's a troll channel, and all you're doing is trolling, completely discrediting any logical argument and constitutional case that's made against Frank and his department.
Taking this, and different experts are like, well, he violated this law and he violated that law and he violated this guy's rights. They're wrong. Every single one of them is wrong. And now I get my chance to actually kind of say something off duty and set those people right.
Without being challenged. I can do it on my own channel without being challenged. Hey, Frank, if you get this video, I would love to invite you on this channel so you can explain to me how your traffic laws jive with the Constitution. You explain to us how the supreme law of the land is the Fourth Amendment, but you're going to hold laws above it so that you can economically terrorize the public that you're supposed to be protecting and serving so that you can enrich the coffers of your masters. Come on the show, Frank. Contact at highimpactflix.com. It's actually at this timestamp, Frank. At this timestamp, I'm going to go ahead and put contact at highimpactflix.com. There it is right there. So contact me, Frank. As a matter of fact, I'll put it a couple times so that you can see it, so that you won't miss it. This is at timestamp 4633, Frank. Come on the show and open yourself up to a panel and to questions. We will be fair. We will be reasonable. We will be logical. We'll be polite and we'll be calm. But you need to answer for your actions. Put a 1 in the room if you would like to see Frank Sloop from the Pinal County Sheriff's Department on this show to be held to the standard of the Constitution. Put a 1 in the room.
Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, which you hold an oath to uphold. I know it's very, very disappointing because I like to follow the rules too.
Obviously you don't, because you're speeding.
However,
well, you like to follow rules except for speed limits that you don't like to follow.
It's objective or subjective. That's the cursor. Okay, so
if we want to play word games, we can play word games here.
We can play word games as long as you want.
Absolutely.
Per the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, to secure in my own rights to hold my identity, unless, especially in a state that's not a stop and ID state, aren't you supposed to tell me why you're pulling me over?
Absolutely. There is absolutely no requirement for me to tell you. I told you as a common courtesy because it's what I normally do during traffic stops.
I know, but it's what you normally do. That's not what the law says you do.
It is not a law.
It is. It's not a stop and ID state.
It's not a law.
Okay. We have a difference.
We can agree that you are certainly going to get one. So, all the information up the top is yours. Vehicle's information's here. It says today at 10:05 you're 71 and a posted 45.
This citation was the catalyst for some change within the sheriff's office.
Okay, here's what I wanted to get at. Apparently, according to Frank, and you can believe him as far as you can throw him because he's on the Brady list and he's shown himself to not be credible. According to Frank, this instituted some inner policy changes with regard to traffic tickets. Check this out.
Where the actual offense took place was right on the border of Maricopa County and Pinal County. But the offense took place in Maricopa County, so I wrote this citation into the appropriate Maricopa County court. It's not a court that I write into a lot, and this was at the very early on into us using a new system called TRAX, which is an electronic ticketing system, and it electronically sends the tickets to each court jurisdiction that we write a citation into. So there's no one bringing a stack of citations to the court. They are automatically, electronically at midnight, sent to each court to a database, and then the court retrieves them the following work morning. So the times of like citations being brought to courts within Pinal County is over because we have this system in place.
Now, RMP stands for reasonable and prudent, and that's what the speed limit is. And you're
There will be more. There will be more about this.
71 miles an hour and a posted 45. Got you on laser, the most accurate of all speed detection devices.
Do you have a printout?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a printout or a screenshot?
No. I have a screenshot, yes.
Can I have that?
You cannot.
How come?
Because I have no way to print it out in my car. So, the direction you're facing right now is eastbound in the number 1 lane. State Route 24 at Meridian was the closest intersection. Your citation is for speed greater than reasonable and prudent. You're cited into the Santan Justice Court, which is located up in Chandler. You have a court date, only if you wish to appear, on the first day of November at 9 o'clock in the morning. If not, your phone number right here leads you to the court. Knowledgeable court staff there will be able to answer any questions you have, including giving you any sort of information on traffic school. This right here is the driver's license, the registration to which you provided, and an exact carbon copy of the citation. All right. Any further questions I can answer for you today, sir? All right. And just so you know, my sergeant is Sergeant Erickson. He's the person that you're going to... Thanks for putting your window up. They say you don't want to talk to me anymore. I really hope that this goes to court.
So he shows up on his assigned court date. He goes to the court, he brings his citation, and the court has no record of a citation from me on my side. He brings it in front of the judge. The judge says, hey, we don't have any record of this. I just missed your citation. So ultimately, this guy got off on this speeding citation. The court called the sheriff's office and gave me the number. So eventually me and the court staff spoke, and this was the catalyst of change. We didn't know it, but Pinal County Sheriff's Office citations weren't going to courts outside of Pinal County. If you're an officer anywhere in the state of Arizona, you're an officer everywhere in the state of Arizona. So very often, deputies from the Pinal County Sheriff's Office would write citations into Pima County to the south, into Maricopa County to the north, and into Gila County to the east. And these citations weren't being sent to the courts, and we had no way of knowing. So with this guy going in and making a big deal in the court, we were able to fix this problem, and now our citations go everywhere, and that is all up to this guy. It is because of him. So, I mean, did he get off on this? Yeah, he did. Does it really matter? No, it doesn't. I mean, it's no one's fault. It was a new system, and there was a glitch in that system, and since this stop, that glitch has been fixed. So now I've testified in courts all over Maricopa County because I write a lot of tickets there. And
I testified in courts all over Maricopa County because I write a lot of tickets. In other words, I am the catalyst for a lot of economic terrorism on American people who are already just squeaking to get by, who have 2 to 3 jobs and can barely make ends meet. And I am there to make sure that I can economically devastate them even more than the current economic conditions warrant. That's what Frank is. Are you proud of yourself, Frank? Do you go? I don't know if you have a family, Frank, but is your husband proud of you, Frank? Do you talk over dinner and talk about what a good job you did for the American people today? How much money you made for your masters? How you devastated a poor family or drugged somebody out of the car because they didn't give their ID in a proper amount of time? How you were a part of the task force and you brought the drug dog and you put this guy away for 20 years because of simple possession? Are you proud of yourself, Frank?
now I know 100% that our citations are getting there also.
I hope with every fiber of my being that I get to go and see him again, because there's not a judge anywhere in the state of Arizona that would entertain that tomfoolery that just happened there.
In other words, us tyrants will converge upon this man, this innocent man, and we will economically do our best to pull out all the stops and take money from him against his will and without his consent under traffic law, because we, that's Frank talking, we, the Arizona courts and all law enforcement agents, hate Americans and their rights, and we will go out of our way to violate the Fourth Amendment for the sake of the holy grail of law, traffic law. That is what's really being said here.